Terrific. Let's have a go. What are we?
Can I just firstly say that Chris will do it?
Okay, Chris.
Chris is reserved for mothers and
for mothers, exactly.
I wish I had more ex-girlfriends though. So I'm the very bottom of the food chain at Tyrrell's. I'm the youngest of the 5th generation. My first vintage was in 2001, just as soon as I left school, and then you know, you do a few things, we're all young and stupid, you ride off a few cars, you work in different parts of the business, all these kinds of things. But 2006 ended up back in the winery full-time and have been part of the winemaking team there ever since. So had a few other jobs within the business, sales and marketing, which I was god awful at. I was doing a bit of study on the side and ended up back in the side of the business which excites me. And it's an incredibly diverse industry. It's one of the only industries where you literally, every part of the supply chain we control. So there's lots of different people just here who some are work in the vineyard side, some in winemaking, some sales, PR. Everyone likes to think they're in the important side of it, but my sister, who works in sales, keeps all of us in the job. So I'll just give her a little plug.
Thank you!
No, I guess so for us at Tyrrell's, in terms of new direction wines, Tyrrell's and Semillon isn't anything new as such, but I guess just in terms of a special block of land which we thought we would try and perhaps make something different with, and respecting the generations that had come before us. So in 2008 we celebrated our 150th anniversary, and we thought it'd be a cool thing to do if we mucked around with one of our oldest blocks of Semillon. We have a very old, as lots of these wineries do, we have a lot of old gear lying around. And one of our many old bits of gear lying around, we have a great old basket press, a big 2-ton basket press. And my father, bless him dearly, but we have the microphone, sorry pal, you're finished, would always brag about how much he and his mates, in their footy shorts and no shirts, how much they do when they were younger, basket pressing. So we rebuilt this press, and we thought, so for the 150th we'll make this wine and put it in the old packaging and charge a shitload for it, and we all win. Unfortunately 2008 was probably the worst vintage in the Hunter ever. But in saying that, we thought, well, we'll give it another crack and keep going. So this is where this wine comes from. So the Johnno's vineyard was planted in 1908, planted by my great-grandfather, Bruce. I think the great-great was dead before then. Yeah, the great-grandfather. And he's always the best Semillon we get every year, and he's always a component of that one. So, am I allowed to swear?
Speaks to what?
Okay. So, well, it's a technical term.
There's some ladies on
we have a bit of a saying at Tyrrell's, and it's a bit of a we'll fix it or fuck it mentality. So this is where this wine came in. So if it didn't work, we could always just put it back into that one, and no one would ever know. So, technical term,
write that one down.
It's a small part of the blend. So we just make this wine a little bit differently. So we take out of our heads, we've got all these great things now which my grandfather or that generation wouldn't have had. So this wine, really just stepping back, from a winemaker's point of view, being quite lazy and just sort of letting the wine speak for itself. So traditionally at Tyrrell's, press the Semillon and we centrifuge the juice, get it super clean before we ferment. This one just completely sort of flipped the script, I guess. So let it settle naturally, fermented with a fair bit of solids, warmer ferment, just to explore what we could do with this grape variety, which when you release it as a young wine, can be pretty tough work, pretty abrasive, really high acid, sort of take the enamel off your teeth type stuff, which is why we released them with 5, 6, 7 years, and you saw that great Lovedale before, because the wines become so complex and all these things. So we wanted to muck around with, I guess, the texture. So this wine, for me, am I done?
Keep going.
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, I'm going to drink it as you talk about it now.
But this wine really has affected how we make our Semillons now. So that more textural element really, I find really quite exciting about that wine. And it's such a good drink now, but these wines live for 30, 40 years, and in great vintages with screw cap, when I'm crusty old man sitting up here. Hopefully we can show you these wines, and they're going to be bloody great. And I think that's the way forward for Australia, is these little single vineyard wines. Yeah, it's 250 cases, they're not cheap. Not everyone's going to be able to see them, but who gives a shit, you know, because it's really important. I think these are the kind of wines that are going to take our industry forward, you know. It's not the Penfolds Grange, which is 10,000 cases and is made from 80 different vineyards every year. This is the exciting stuff, what's happening. You see it throughout this bracket and the bracket before. This is what's going to take Australia forward into the future, repositioning ourselves as a quality wine producing country, and regionality is the key. Cheers.
Well,